Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to lesson 12.4.4 on transformational analysis, which is what we generally call analyzing music through this Neo-Riemannian lens. So the point of this whole chapter has not been there are some pieces you should analyze with Roman numerals, and there are some pieces that you should analyze with these operators that we've been talking about. But like we've been saying, like I've been saying this whole time, really a lot of cases would benefit from a blended approach where you use both Roman numeral tools working within keys and using these transformational tools that we've been learning about in this unit. So as an example, we're going to look at this excerpt from Schubert's Ninth Symphony, the third movement. So I'm going to just play that for you. And then it keeps on going, etc., etc. So, what is going on here? Measures 101 through 112, pretty straightforward. We start off with G7 going to C. So that's just 5, 7 to 1 in C major. We have some chromatic neighbor tones here. Feels a little more like C minor, but the triads themselves are still C major, so it's just some chromatic inflection there. So we're just in C this whole time. 5, 7, 1, 5, 7, 1, 5, 7, 1, 5, 7, 1, 1. Great. Then these 4 bars, we mostly have F minor-y things going on. So we could plausibly say modal mixture 4, minor 4 specifically. But then we go here and we have D flat major for 6 bars. And so that could be flat 2, but it's in root position, which is a little weird, and then it doesn't go to 5. We have, okay, so what's going on here? We start out with, just making sure I get the frame. So we start out in C, we go to F minor, we go to D flat major, then what do we have coming up? We have a C sharp minor, we have A major. I'm sorry, I think I missed something. Nope. Yeah, A major, and then D minor. And then finally, at measure 141, we're back to G7. And we have a little bit of a tonicization, 7 diminished 7 of G goes back to G. Great, okay. So, since we end on a G7, it probably makes sense to say that the beginning and the end are both in C major. So what happens in the middle? All of these keys that we went through. 4, flat 2, minor flat 2, major 6, minor, well, D minor to G7, that makes sense. That's 2, 5, 1. So what happens if we plot this out on the tonics? Well, we start here, and I've kind of outlined the diatonic area of C major. So here's your C major triad. You have your 5, you have your 3, you have your 6, you have your 4, you have your 2. I haven't included 7 diminished because there are no diminished triads on the tonics. So just going back and forth in our C major area, but then we slip out of our diatonic area when we go to F minor. And then we go to D flat major, then we go to C sharp minor, and then we go to A major, and then we go to D minor. So this is starting to make more sense now that we see it outlined on the tonics. We see what voice leading is going on, where we have these N relationships at either end, and then we're just going up this hexatonic corridor. And finally, we end up sitting on 5-7 in another C major region. So this is actually useful. This explains why we're going through these seemingly random keys. It's because they voice lead super smoothly. You're just changing one note in each case by one half step. An alternate view of this would be, okay, we said D minor is basically 2 going to 5 and then to 1 implied. So what if we put this D minor and the G in a diatonic framework? Then it would look like this, where you start here, go up a corridor, and then you end up back in C. So the difference in what these diagrams are showing is here we take a bit of a longer trip and we only return to C major when we get to our G7 chord. Here you're saying we start out in C, we take a little trip up this corridor, and once we get to D minor, that's serving as a 2 in the new key. So you're actually making two different claims here. Here you're claiming that we return to C major and we return to Roman numerals make sense when we get to D minor. Here you're claiming it only happens when we get to G7. Both are valid analyses. The diagrams say different things. But the big point here is that in order to understand this passage, the beginning and end make sense diatonically. And we should be thinking about them with Roman numerals because that makes sense. That explains what's going on. The middle section doesn't make sense with Roman numerals, but it does make sense with the tonics. So we should use that to explain what's going on. Use tools that make sense for the job. So that's what's going on here. I hope that you've enjoyed this transformational analysis as much as I have, and I will see you next time.